News of the week, I have a new diagnosis. And this makes my whole world make more sense. First of all, if you're new here, I live with multiple chronic illnesses, mental and physical. So far, I have been diagnosed with
depression, anxiety, PTSD, fibromyalgia, postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome, a form of dysautonomia, small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, diseased gallbladder, SIBO, that's, I already said that, okay, PCOS, endometriosis, chronic fatigue syndrome, chronic migraine, probably more, mast cell activation syndrome, which is one I don't feel like that's that severe, but still on the list. I technically was diagnosed with Hashimoto's disease. I don't know if that was a misdiagnosis, but I definitely have thyroid issues.
So, lots of problems already, but I just got a new one, which I'm sure you can tell by the title, is attention hyper deficit, no, ADHD. And my whole world makes sense. So let's just do a little backstory about how this even happened and how I figured out that I have ADHD at 29 years old. So I was talking to a friend the other day and she was telling me how a couple years ago as an adult she got diagnosed with ADHD, and she starts saying some of the things that she's struggled with. And I was like, that's normal. I didn't say that out loud, but also we all deal with that. Like, it's not just like a human thing. And then like a month and a half went by and my husband was talking about a similar topic about like kind of ADHD. And I told him this story about my friend. And I was like, isn't that kind of funny? Like, that's just what we all do. And he was like, no, we don't. That's actually not normal. We were kind of joking about it at first, but then just for fun, I pulled out my phone and typed symptoms of ADHD. And the internet told me not paying close attention to detail. I always leave out the most important points. When I go to film a video, sometimes I will finish the video and like I miss the whole point of why I pulled out my camera in the first place. Make careless mistakes. Do you know how many times I have been told that I make careless mistakes by my husband, by my parents, by teachers, and just so many times. Trouble staying focused, easily distracted. I cannot focus on anything if there are sounds in the background, a mess around me, being disorganized and messy. You ask my parents, they will tell you my room was a disaster all the time. They would beg me to clean it. So you'll maybe have seen in my cleaning videos, I get comments all the time from people like, you didn't even finish that room and then you moved on to a new room. I did the hard part, but I can't finish those last little pieces. Forgetting routine tasks like house chores all the time. I just forget like the normal stuff. I have such a hard time making routines. Recently, I've been blaming it on my pain, which I do think contributes to it because I am in pain, but it's also hard for my brain to even remember just normal stuff I need to do. Not following through on instructions, cannot remember. If you tell me, Aimee, you need to do this, this, and this, I will leave the room and I'll completely forget everything you said. Failing to meet deadlines, I procrastinate everything, like very last minute. And I have actually decided to take a step back from doing sponsorships because it overwhelms me so much. Make worse content if it's sponsored because I get so overwhelmed. Then I don't end up doing it and I push it off to the last minute, or I email the company and say, I'm going to have to push this back, and I blame it on my illness. But now that I realize I could have done it, it's just overwhelming to me, and so then I don't want to do it. Procrastinating, put off tasks to the last minute. We just talked about that. Avoiding or disliking tasks that require sustained concentration. Frequently losing things like books, keys, school papers. I lose everything. Fidgeting constantly. You may notice this. I also have physical pain. So when I was talking to my therapist about this, I was like, I have physical pain that causes me to need to move, but I realized that I do this all the time. And when I coach someone, I have to be holding something. Even if I'm not writing something down, I usually have a pencil in my hand. And when I'm filming, I try to tell myself like, oh, don't hold anything, or it'll be like in my lap. I just like have to hold something and fidget with it, or else I cannot concentrate. Talking excessively. I am so insecure about how much I talk. Now, when I edit these videos, I cut down a lot.
you would not believe how much I cut out. But if you go back and watch my old videos, it's so cringy because I literally just sit and talk and talk and talk and talk and talk, and you can't get me to shut up. And I've had so many comments of people saying, like, you ramble too much, you couldn't even get to the point. And now I cut back a lot. It's something I have always been very insecure about, and people have told me many times, Aimee, you talk too much, will you just stop talking? As a kid, I got moved a lot in class because I just talked so much.
But I did well in school. I didn't have straight A's, but I passed my classes. I think that's why I never got diagnosed, because usually you think of ADHD kids as they are failing school. They won't do anything. I'm like, right now, my legs are moving, like feeling them. Difficulty waiting their turn, such as in line. When I was talking to my therapist about this, she asked me, if you were at the post office and waiting for your turn, how would you feel? And I was like, oh, that just like hurts me to even think about waiting in line at the post office. Interrupting or blurting out responses. I am so insecure about this. Every time I have a conversation with someone, I interrupt them. I will try to finish their sentences, and then every freaking time I beat myself up. So I'm like, why did you do that again? Why couldn't you wait your turn? Why couldn't you just listen to someone talk for once, Aimee? Why do you have to keep jumping ahead of them? Okay. Acting out or speaking without thinking. I just am always speaking without thinking. Then I regret everything I said after. Trouble keeping on one topic. You may notice this in my older videos. I just go off on different topics. And if you ever talk to me in person, I have 12 different things I talk about in one conversation because I can't. Impulsive. I'm very impulsive. We go into details, but let's just leave it at that. If I don't make an impulsive decision, I can't make a decision. Excessive running, climbing, or feeling of restlessness. I am physically ill, but I feel like I need to be moving all the time. I cannot sit still. I cannot rest. It is so difficult for me. So anyway, I read through all of those symptoms. We're already 13 minutes in. Good grief, Aimee. Shut your mouth. Okay. So I went to my therapist. She started asking me similar questions. And then especially focused on like as a kid, because this is something I would have had my whole life. Obviously, I'm a mom. I have 3 kids 4 and under. I have multiple chronic illnesses. There's so many factors. I have the trauma from my past, the PTSD. And so it's like, there's a lot of things here. So she asked me a lot of questions. And after the questions, she was talking to me as if I had it. And I stopped her and I was like, so do you think I have ADHD? And she was like, yes. Yes, I do think you have ADHD. Pretty much no question about it. I've always been forgetful. I've always been told I've been careless. I've always been told that I'm messy and disorganized and that I need to grow up. And like, those are things I've been told my whole life. And it turns out there was something wrong with my brain. It was broken. And I just went off on a tangent. Let's just say this. I don't know the point of this video. I don't know what I'm talking about. Okay. A few things that I deal with now as an adult with my ADHD that has made it make more sense, like the things that I do, is first thing on my list, grocery stores are so overwhelming. My husband will send me for one thing, and I have physical symptoms. I don't want to be at the store at a long time. I will be physically ill after if I'm at the store too long. And yet it takes me like an hour. I will come back an hour later from picking up one thing at the store. I won't have a whole grocery cart full of things. Sometimes I'll add a few extra things because I can't make good decisions. And then I grab things I don't need. But also, I don't know what I'm doing. But I get so overwhelmed every time I go to the store by myself. Another thing is just like dumb things that I just don't get. Like north, south, east, west. What's your right and left hand? Other things that overwhelm me, making phone calls to anyone. Also, I was always being told that I was sensitive. I cry very easily. I get angry pretty easily. I also get excited really easily. 200 things I want to do, and I can't seem to do any of them. Do you know how many YouTube videos are sitting on flash drives that I've never actually edited? How often do I say, oh yeah, I'm going to make a video about this thing, and then it never happens. And I blame my illness, but in reality, I just don't finish it because I start a new one and then I never finish the last one that I had. For so long, for 29 years of my life, I have internalized and made it, I am a messy person. I'm disorganized. I can't get my life together. I am immature. I'm dumb because these things that come so easily to people, it's like they don't come easily to me. I think we so often saying you are careless when instead it's you made a mistake and it's okay. And that's something I want to try with my kids moving forward, is not saying you are blank, because that puts it on their identity. That makes them think this is who they are. For so long, I thought this was who I was. Someone who makes bad decisions, someone who doesn't care enough to remember things, someone who is dumb because she can't get normal things. She can't remember normal things that most people can remember. Someone who is bad at reading because I read a paragraph and I forget the second I read it. Someone who doesn't follow instructions. Like, no. All right, there we go. It's been a whole 30 minutes because I've talked way too much. But I'm just going to stop myself in the middle of the sentence because okay, hopefully that makes sense. All right, hope you have a good day. I got to go. Bye.